Right, how are you doing? It's been a while. I'm so sorry, I've been busy with work. So this morning I'll be talking about Mosaic Authorship of the Pentateuch. That's what we'll be talking about today. So just get your jotter, get your pen, so you can jot things down, okay? Alright. Alright, so let's get into it. So Mosaic authorship is the tradition attributing the 5 books of the Torah or Pentateuch to Moses. So this particular topic wants you to understand that Moses is the author of the 5 books the first 5 books in the Old Testament, and we also have to prove that Moses is not the author, right? So we have a different school of thought with their different perspective about those 5 books, and that's what we'll be looking at strictly on this topic, okay? Alright, so talking about the 5 books, we have Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. So this Pentateuch can also be called Torah. Those 5 books are called the law. Most of them actually contain the laws that God gave Moses to present to the Israelites. So you can refer to it as Pentateuch, you can refer to it as Torah, or the first 5 books of the Word of the Old Testament. Alright. So the thing is, I said several scholars came together to argue on the author of those 5 books, and we have biblical evidence of Mosaic authorship, that is biblical evidence to show that Moses is the author. There are various scriptural verses that show Moses wrote the Pentateuch, like a lot of verses that actually prove that Moses is the author. So we'll be looking at them. There are some verses even in the first 5 books. There are some verses in the Old Testament, that talked about that. Like if you check Deuteronomy 31:9, 24:26, it actually describes how Moses wrote the Torah. Moses wrote Torah on a scroll. The law. Now when God told him to come to the mountain, God gave him the laws. If you remember the 10 commandments, right? Remember he wrote it down, then out of anger he broke it. You get? So that's an example to show that Moses is the author. So this is another example in Exodus. It said, and Yahweh said unto Moses, write thou these words, for after the tenure of these words I have made a covenant with thee and with Israel. This is God telling Moses to write. So which means most of the things that we found in the first 5 books today were things that God dictated to Moses, especially that Exodus. God dictated them to Moses. So that's another proof to show that Moses is the author, okay? Then so look at this other example. Jesus Christ also is a proof that Moses wrote those books. Jesus Christ and the New Testament writers attributed the Pentateuch to Moses. What do I mean by this? Jesus mentioned the law of Moses. That means for Jesus to mention that, Jesus also believed that Moses wrote it. Do you get? So Jesus mentioned that the law of Moses, these books were written by Moses. Even some of the New Testament books also testify to it. They refer to those books as the law of Moses. So if they call the law of Moses, definitely those laws were being written by Moses. So that's another proof of Mosaic authorship. That's another proof to show that Moses is the author, right? Then if you look at the events described in the book of Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, it was Moses that was present with them, right? So who else can actually give that kind of vivid description of those events, if not for the person that was present there? So that's another proof to show that Moses is actually the author. Like Moses, God gave him that revelation. You get? Alright, another proof to show that Moses wrote those books is that which are related to Egyptian language were used. Moses grew up in Egypt, right, before he ran away. So we can see from those events described that the writer understands the life and customs of Egyptians. That can only be Moses. So that's another proof to show that Moses is the author. So when you're answering that kind of question during your exam, you just need to give us examples, to prove your point that Moses is the author. Do you understand? So in my next video, I'll be explaining the evidences against Mosaic authorship. We'll be looking at literary argument and the documentary hypothesis. You really need to know all this, especially the documentary hypothesis, because they always ask questions on documentary hypothesis. Whether you're writing IJMB or JUPEB is very important. So as soon as you're done with this, I will soon upload the video. So just go, and watch the video. And please, if you have questions, feel free to ask I might take time to respond because of my work, but really I'm going to definitely respond. And if you need a good textbook to you can actually get this textbook written by myself. Okay, it's really good for you. It's not bulky, right? Within 2-3 weeks you should be done, and it covers both IJMB and JUPEB syllabus. All right, see you in my next video. Bye.